the truth.
I'm Jim Price, the Jim Price Show Daily Update. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Oh, we'll make up the date like the government always does because they're here to help us. We're going to call it June 17th. It's a Wednesday, 2026. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Well, what a great day we have. This is a amazing, amazing time to be up live. I hear a lot of different things going on around the world. Now, are we... I want to go back to yesterday a little bit about the idea that when we think about how we ask questions, I think about how the press used to ask questions back 100 years ago, 50 years ago, and what they ask questions like today. And I do wonder if it's like, well, you know, when you fail to get your, Mr. President, when you fail to get your peace agreement and everything falls apart and the whole world is a hell in a handbasket, you know, how are you going to respond to your critics as they know that you have continued to fail and you've always been a failure and you're not going to be a success in anything that you're doing going forward? What kind of questions are those? It really does bother me that, I didn't turn the, there we go, sorry. Could have everything turned on. But that's just kind of I just think about these questions that do come from people, and I get it. Some people are trying to get the gotcha question. They're trying to get the little thing where they can somehow get Trump to screw up and say, I love little children and I eat their skin every night for dinner. Oops, I didn't mean that. Does everybody think that is that what we believe? Is there going to be by the way, I don't know how many of you guys remember Perry Mason. There was a TV show way back in black and white. It was called Perry Mason. It was this attorney, and he was this huge guy, and he'd walk around, and he'd just get people to confess on the stand every time. They'd have the show, and it'd be all building up to the moment, and then they'd be sitting on the stand. It was me. I'm the one that did it. I was always the one. It was me. Hang me. Shoot me. Death penalty. I'm the criminal you want. It's funny to see that. That's what these reporters are asking for. I think you get more truth out of people if you just ask them questions and let them talk. Let them talk about things and give them a safe space to talk about, and they'll tell you all kinds of cool things. But trying to piss people off all the time just because that's quote unquote your job, that's your job. So when you were applying for your job at CNN or CBS or 60 Minutes, you're like, listen, I know how to piss a person off. I'll ask them questions that mean nothing, and they'll be so frustrated. They'll just get so mad at me, and then they won't want to talk to me. It'll be great. I don't know. Maybe that's what they do. It's kind of crazy if you ask me. Real quick, guys, I just want to give you a quick announcement for tomorrow and Friday. I will be in Tulsa, Oklahoma for a Clay Clark event at the Remnant Church, and that will be going on from this weekend. So I will not be traveling Sunday. I'm going to reschedule to find some time to go visit my dad in Nevada. And so we'll figure that all out here soon, but it just was too much trying to get it fit into Father's Day, which is this Sunday. So maybe we ought to talk about Father's Day. How about that? How about we do a little bit of, try to stay off the political path for a minute, and then talk about what fathers do and how they actually interact with the world around it. So I've researched and done a lot of things in my time, and I've asked a lot of questions, and I've gone a long way down a lot of rabbit holes. And I will tell you, as a man who did not get that opportunity because of other people's mistakes, not because of my father's, to be honest with you. Sad part of it is that I think too many times, and listen, I'm not dogpiling here, guys. but we do have to have a moment of clarity. A lot of times when I'm looking around and I'm seeing things that are happening, if a man strikes a child, let's say a man smacks a kid on the face, there will be people in the streets, there will be people at their house, there will be protests, there will be people that say that that person needs to be castrated, that that person obviously has anger issues, they need to go to jail, they cut their hand off, they're abuser. How dare you even walk the civilization inside society and civilization that I walk in? You don't walk in my same world. But as a person who actually experienced, and guys, I want to do this. I am so grateful for my life. And I mean that in exactly what it means. I mean, I really, because I got to see my mother lie, cheat, and steal. I got to watch Marge and Charlie not watch TV, not listen to music, not go out, not have playing cards. I mean, they were so ultra strict that they were not in the world, right? They didn't want to be in the world or of the world. They were so afraid of the world. And so they had this I have this huge dichotomy of both ends of the spectrum. But as I listen to the stories that my father's told me that I've recently learned in the last couple months, and that they make a lot more sense than anything I was ever told. And I will tell you, as a father, I have had to defend my position. I have had to defend words I've never said. I've had to defend myself from actions I've never committed. But yet I know that there are people on this earth, including my ex-wife and my mother, other female figures in my life that honestly I can't say that about. That they have actually said things that were factually inaccurate and have demonstrated that they were somebody else and said that they were something, and then people believed that they were something, but then they were acting another way and nobody held them accountable. So I think in this moment of Father's Day coming up, and I want to get to this point. I'm walking down an unstable path right here to get to this point, but what I want to get to you is you need to give fathers a break. You need to give fathers the credit that is due, because there are fathers and men who go out and do fatherly things for children and women who never get the credit for it. And if society in itself would learn to honor the man for the work that they do, honor the men who do put the work in. Now, I'm not saying there's not bad people. I'm not saying that all women are bad. I'm not saying all women are good. I'm not saying all men are good, and I'm not saying all men are bad. But I do think that men should be given a lot more grace and understanding. And I do believe when we think of Father's Day, we think of it as this little blip on the radar. Do you know that Arbor Day, Tree Day, is celebrated and financially supported way more than Father's Day is? Father's Day is ranked like 14th or 15th or 18th on the list of popular holidays in America. Halloween and Christmas are tied for the top one now. But if I can show you that a lot of the things that you're doing by tearing the man down is actually playing into the sin nature, playing into the fatherless homes, playing into the destruction of our society, and that you should really revere and honor and lift up men this Saturday or this Sunday, I'm telling you guys, we do not actually celebrate men. And I love these videos, these clips, these memes, these comments. Men's Mental Health Month, how dare you? If you were serious about men at all and you looked up how many men kill themselves every minute of every day, you would be ashamed of yourself. The fact that fathers are leveraged against their kids for money, for child support. The fact that fathers are leveraged against their kids for visitation. The fact that fathers are leveraged against their kids for all kinds of really stupid reasons. But we don't give them credit for standing there and still taking it and still wanting to see their kids. I think as a man, and as I have had to grow up and try to figure out, because here's the thing, and this is not a slight on my father whatsoever. He did not have the opportunity. I saw what happened. I agree with him. I know that he was a victim to the situation, and a bunch of liars got involved. And the biggest liar was my mother. My mother couldn't stop lying about the situation she was in, so she destroyed or did create destruction or damage or hurt in people's lives. She did it with my father. She did it with my cousins. She did it with my aunts and uncles. She did it with my grandparents. She did it with me. But if we were actually able to celebrate the man, we would actually find that women would find themselves almost in love with the idea of celebrating men because they would find the femininity in themselves. And this is the part where we don't give ourselves a chance to actually understand how we can be better and how society can grow because our ego is too busy telling us don't dare celebrate anybody else. Only celebrate me. I am the most important ever. Everything. I am it. Me, 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 me. But if we actually find that women who celebrate men, who think of men as these masculine energy providers, killers, protectors, the strength of society. If you listen to those women, and there are a lot of women that are out there that do that, and they will tell you, I have never been more a woman, and I have never been treated more like a woman until I learned how to treat a man like a man. And I will tell you, ladies, listen right here just for a second. If you give men, if you get out of the way for just a second, and you do let men get in there and naturally take care of things, it will get done without bickering, without the backbiting, without the stabbing, without the gnawing, the gnashing of teeth, the wailing, the crying, all that. None of that is necessary. But if you create the void and let men fill in the void of being men, if you get out of the man space, if the women get out of the men's space, then men will fill in that vacuum, that void, and then suddenly you will find that the women will be more peaceful and more content because the men will be able to be men, and that's all they really ever wanted. But they were told that men being men was horrible, so they kept bitching and moaning and griping and complaining, so men stopped doing men stuff. So then women really did honestly have something to complain about because you drove it out of us. Society has told men, don't provide, don't stand up, don't do the right thing, don't provide for your family, don't do these things. Just, hey, if you get her pregnant, well, you get divorced when they got child support, and the courts will get involved, and the courts get their fees, and then the state gets their fees, and then then the mom gets the money, and then maybe some of that money will get to the kids. Now, I've heard of every situation on earth. I've heard of some women who take every single dime and put that into individual savings account for each of the children and never touch the money. I know other women that all they do is spend every single month paying a lawyer to go back to rework child support, to rework visitation, to rework the sports, to rework the medical bills, to rework the private education bills, to rework who pays for clothes, to rework who pays for socks. Guys, if you think I was making those examples up, they're not. These are all very, very specific things that I have heard people take people to court for over children. He's not returning the socks that I provide for my kids. I can't just keep giving him socks. So I'm taking him to court because he has to pay me back for the $29.13 in socks I have sent to that house and never returned. Now, I want to point out something for a second. Do you ever heard of righteous indignation? Now, if a woman or a man does something to you, then and they come at you and they do stupid things, but that defines them. And how you react to it defines you, right? Now, if you were to, when we had the situation with them coming after my kids and different things like that when they raided the house, I stood up and I stood in the gap and said, no, not my kids, not today. It's not going to happen. And I know what I did. And I will always do that. But the sad part of it is it seems like society in general is just looking for an argument constantly. Why do people think that they have to argue constantly? Why can't they find a greater understanding or a middle ground? I had a conversation today about the fact that we are not replacing ourselves. We are not at a birth rate. We are not having as many people, and we are no longer populating the earth, but we are actually in a depopulation cycle. And I couldn't get him to understand. Listen, we are losing more people. We're not birthing enough people for the people that are dying. At this point, there may be some more people dying in this moment, but the scales have tipped so much with China doing the one child for 30, 40 years. China is going into a population decrease. 60 or 70% of their population is over 80 years old? Is that correct? Is that right? Or over 60 years old? 70% is over like 60 or 70 years old. And I'm just using broad strokes for this, but I mean, do you see what I'm saying? It's like, no, listen, we're not replacing ourselves. People are aging out. There's no one here to do the other work. And the problem is I was being told, no, we are overpopulated. There's too many people on earth. We're having too much sex. Too many people are being born. But if you actually look at it, that hasn't happened not too many people have been being born for almost 40 years now. 40 years we've either plateaued or been declining for the last 40 years in population. And that right there, guys, is the absolute scary part. See, that's where we get all these, I'm a dog mommy. I'm a dog daddy. Oh, no, I have 12 cats. Those are my babies. Look, I've got them outfits, and I feed them in a little bottle, and they have little diapers on them, and they have little houses, and they all have special names, and oh, it's so great. That's why we're not replacing ourselves, guys. That's why the earth is not gaining in population. In the developed worlds, we are declining so fast, it actually should scare you. But why can't we just say, well, what are you talking about? What do you mean we're not replacing ourselves? No, we're still only dying at this rate. No. Here's the problem. We should be having birth rates of this level, and we have them at this level. That means that what's going to happen is when that level starts coming through society, and that starts pulling through society, you're going to see the collapsing of it behind us. And so in the next 30, 40 years, guys, we are going to see a very, very large problem where people are not going to be here. We think that the streets are empty now. You think that there's nobody at the restaurants now? What happens when there absolutely is nobody here? Yeah. Hey, Hope, good to see you. So here's the thing, and I will give. And here's another comment that it can hurt somebody's feelings or whatever, but the wrong people are having babies as well. The very rich, the very educated, the very nervous, very nervous, regulated people who can handle themselves through stressful situations. They're the ones not having kids. It's the people wanting to have arguments about whether we have enough to replace us or not. That's the arguments we're having. That's the argument. Not like, oh my God, what do you mean? Holy crap, what is that? No. And we just rather argue. And so the people that are actually reproducing, the people that are actually filling in the holes where there are no people, are really kind of not the people you want filling in those holes. The crazy part of it is those that can afford it, those that can do it, and those that should do it are absolutely not doing it. And we don't think of it that way. We don't give ourselves an opportunity to say, well, maybe we ought to think about this differently. We ought to think about the population of the earth, the population of our country, as if it matters, because it does. You're going to find out. Listen, guys, I know the numbers are coming out with China. They don't have 1.3 billion people. They have 650 million people. That's about twice what America has. And they are losing population faster than you can even shake a stick at right now. They have a labor problem. And that is a real thing. There is a real problem going on over there. Hey, Courtney Allen, good to see you. There's a lot of opportunities for us to see things, but we have to be aware of what's going on. But why is it that we feel like we have to argue with each other? Why? Why do we feel like we actually have to go out of our way to argue instead of just actually figuring it out? Now, as a person who used to argue extensively, so, construction, bad relationships, I get it. But the sad part of it is that there are times for arguments, but then that's it. There are times for it. It is not in every conversation that you have to have your guard up constantly waiting for the next argument step to come stepping down, the next boom, 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 boom. See, that right there is a thing that I really want you guys to think about, is that why do we think we have to have discord? Why do we have to do that? Why do we have to be angry? Why does it have to go to that level? Well, because the problem is we have a lot of people who are arguing points that they, don't know about, but then also they're just arguing for argument's sake. They don't have a path. They don't have an ending date. They don't have hey, I'm going to, I know where I need to go with this, and okay, cool, I understand it. It's like, oh, wow, no way, really? That's a thing? Like, yeah. So what you're saying is true, and what I'm saying is true, but your part is not going to be true here in a minute. That's what I'm saying. See, the sad part is I couldn't get to that part of the conversation. But if we were actually to put the male-female roles back into the salt and pepper shaker holder, and we just put those right back where they belong, the pepper and the salt and the salt, if we were just to put men and women back in their place in a traditional practice, which, again, if you want to go be a weirdo, do it. I don't care. But those of us that are still on this other side, if we really worked on the male role model and worked on the model of a male, the masculinity would be so amazing that women would fall in and they would be so feminine that they would be amazing as well. But here's the problem. Do you know what toxic masculinity is? Toxic masculinity isn't the strong, virile guy, long hair, big muscles, lifting up beams, doing whatever, flying helicopters, saving cougars out of trees, whatever. That's not toxic masculinity. What is toxic masculinity is the soy boys with the soft belly round the middle and the little pudgy neck, and they're all like, hi, hi, I want to have a baby with you. That is toxic masculinity, because that type of masculinity destroys masculinity and what it can be and how it honors the femininity of a woman. But we can't have that conversation because society, back through Uncle Barry, told you that we do things politically correct. And we don't say male, female. We don't say ma'am, and we don't say sir, and we don't do that stuff, right? Because we're progressive. We fixed it. We just kept changing things until we fixed it. Yay! Because it was fine, but we wanted to fix it. We need to fix things that are working. Does that sound like rational behavior? That sound like a conversation that an intelligent person would try to have? I don't think so. But if the man and the woman were allowed to be the man, and the women were allowed to be the women, and they were to support each other, the toxic masculinity of the soy boy, the little feminine, the little limp-wristed little wussification man, that is toxic. And women would recognize that as the problem. But because women think that they are now in charge, that they think they need to be the ones in charge, I'm going to be president. I'm going to rule the world. Why? I don't want to be president. And I will tell you right now, if anybody says they want to be president, I can't wait to be president. It's the role of my lifetime. I'm looking forward to it. I am the best president ever. I'm going to be the best. I'm Jim Price, the best president. Yay! No. No. But when can we have the conversations about male-female roles, about masculinity and toxic masculinity? When do we get to have the conversations? When do we get to see men stand there and watch other men who are not doing it? Those men, they'll go over and correct the men so that those men do not become toxic and abusive and less than a man and demonstrate toxic masculinity. They want to make sure they maintain the masculinity that is strong and bold and does dangerous things dangerously. That's the masculinity we want. That's what makes America great. That's what makes men great. Courtney says, make traditional gender roles great again. Oh, absolutely. Courtney Allen says, toxic masculinity equals lack of masculinity. Oh, absolutely. That is a real thing. Now, as we go through as we go through this, and we're going to talk about the Mother's Day of things, or Father's Day of things, we need to represent fathers in a way that they allow them to have that safe space, that we make them feel like they have been honored and like they have types of dignity that they can stand up to and be recognized for. But too many times, men on their New Year birthday or on their Father's Day or whatever days are supposed to celebrate the man, too many times they play small, they go away, they find themselves in the garage, they don't worry about it. Hey, it's just another day. I'm just going to go do something in the garage. I'm going to fix my truck. I'm going to work on this or that. That's what happens too much in our society, is that men retreat away when they're the ones that should be celebrated. They're the ones that should be honored, and they run away. Hey, Mother's Day's coming up. Oh, Mother's Day's in 6 weeks. Mother's Day's in 5 weeks. Mother's Day's in 4 weeks. Mother's Day's in 3 weeks. Mother's Day's in 1 week. Mother's Day's in 5 days, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day. Yay, Mother's Day. When's the last time you saw a commercial for Father's Day? If you want to know how society thinks of men, when was the last time you saw a Father's Day commercial to represent fathers for what a father actually would want? If you think that fathers are being represented in America, please fully describe to me the commercial that you saw celebrating Father's Day. Make sure you get your flowers for Father's Day, bruh. You got your Father's Day cards and candy down here at Walgreens and CVS. Yeah, come on down. Father's Day. Here we got the tool sale for Father's Day. Oh, we got drills on sale, saws on sale. We got tires on sale for Father's Day. Yeah, come on down for Father's Day. Oh, but there's Mother's Day sales, there's Mother's Day specials, there's Mother's Day dinners, there's Mother's Day banquets, there's Mother's Day events, there's Mother's Day's trips, there's Mother's Day's vacations. Mother's Day, Mother's Day, Mother's Day, Mother's Day, Mother's Day. And how are men supposed to feel valued? You want us to go out and do forest fires, and you want us to go out and do pipelines, and you want us to do oil rigs, and you want us to fly jets, and you want us to be plumbers, electricians, and carpenters, and concrete guys. You want us to do all these amazing things, but you can't even put a goddamn commercial on the television? You can't do that? You can't do a Father's Day commercial. Cool. Got it. And that's the difference. See, we can do things like that. And here's the thing. Everything that I just talked about, this entire half hour about Father's Day and how you can celebrate it, do you know how much money it's going to take you? Almost nothing. Because the regular meal that you do, you just make it a little bit nicer. And you bring the plate to dad, and you make sure that he gets the soda or the beer or the whiskey or the water or the crackers or the steak or the chicken or the dessert that he likes, and only he likes it. He doesn't like it because the family eats it. He doesn't like it because the kids eat it. He doesn't like it because the dogs like it. He doesn't like it because she likes it. He doesn't like it because his mom likes it. No, he likes it because he freaking liked it. And that's what he wanted, and he shouldn't have to be asked. He shouldn't have to be begged. He shouldn't have to be told. If you don't know what the man in your life likes to eat, seriously, I bet you if you asked him what you like to eat or where you like to go or what days you want to eat certain foods on, he's probably got the days you eat certain foods. He probably knows what you like on certain days. He knows you like this food but like this one better. And if you can't get that one, you'll get this one. And if you ask him that, he'll tell you all kinds of information about your crazy menu selection you have. But if you can't bother to think about what the father or the man in your life, if you can't think about what he likes, then why are you in his life? Are you there just to piss him off and antagonize? You don't know the things that he likes. You don't know the things he likes to do. You don't know where he likes to be. But I will tell you right now, that's probably the greater conversation that's being had right now, as opposed to knowing exactly what your man wants. And what he wants, not what you think he wants. Now listen, this is where, again, society has failed men. I do believe there's a problem going on here. What he likes, not what you think he likes. What he actually likes, what you see him eating, what you see him drinking, what you see him get at the Quick Trip or Piggly Wiggly or Wawa or wherever you go, when you see him go to the grocery store and he grabs a thing off the shelf, he's telling you. If you see him go to the Quick Trip and he goes in there and he comes out with such and such donuts with the such and such soda, he picked those out because it's what he wanted, not because you were there. And learn that, because that's called being a human being to each other. That we learn each other's preferences, that we learn each other, that we learn that there's something else out there. But if we don't take the E for effort and to find out what our husband, man, son, father really likes, then how would you ever know? It's called effort, guys. You want effort put into you. Sons, daughters, moms, dads, everybody out there. We all want effort. Then why aren't we putting effort into others? Why don't we work on putting Father's Day and Mother's Day equal on the celebration calendar, the celebration value in America? We bothered to make it a holiday. We bothered to make it a federal deal. Then why don't we bother to make it a deal at all? Why have we tried to forget about fathers? Who told us to forget? Who told us we didn't have to do that anymore? Who told us that men had no value? Who was telling us that? Was it your heart? Was your heart telling you that? No. No, the TV did. The dollared movies where they showed, oh, honey, I shrunk the kids. I'm such a stupid scientist. I didn't know I shrunk my children. Over and over again, just like in The Simpsons, we show the dollared father. Just unlike all the other sitcoms, we show the dollared father. Just unlike, remember, the Family Ties? The main father, he was a dullard. Oh, the wife was the smart one. She always had to fix it. Even though he was a real estate agent, she had to fix it. She had to help him because he was so dumb. Why is that a pattern in our society? What happens if men actually take over? The politicians lose their power. And that is why you will never learn the truth about what women's roles are and what real men really do. Because when men do man things, Limp-wristed little wussies in politics don't do limp-wristed little wussy things in politics. When men are men, the world is a better place and a safer place. But right now, we are not there. We are not in a safe place because we have a bunch of soy boy, limp-wristed going around. Oh, I'm so tough. I'm masculine. Are you? I watched several men on Sunday night beat each other in a way that I don't even think most of these soy boy men running around here calling themselves men could even take one of those punches, much less minutes of pounding over and over and over and over again. I'm not saying to be a man is to take a punch, but I will tell you, I know a lot of men who can. Do you follow the math on that? It's not about whether you can take it or whether you're actually going to get punched, but you're a man that's willing to say, what? Do it. Because that is actually where men find balance. That is where men find a better society. That is where men understand the threat. But women do not understand the threats. Women do not understand the dragons. Women do not understand the dangers that men keep from women. And that is why there is a grave concern in the military about putting women into combat situations, because they have proven decade after decade after century that every time a woman is on the battlefield, a man will kill himself to protect the woman and not pay attention to the battle in front of him. That's not a Jim Price thing. That's not me dancing on anybody's grave, but that's just how it works. Now, again, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I play one on TV, but I have no idea what I'm talking about, and everything I'm saying is completely made up. It's all in my imagination. My imagination. But I've had guests on here over and over and over and over again. I have had people on here, and we have talked about the roles of men, how our religions across the globe, including Muslims and Jews and Buddhists and Christians and non-Christians or occultists, those all believe in the same thing, but yet I wish we had a better way to do this, and I wish we had a better way to just turn it off. But the sad part of it is it's been about the last 100 years of our society, but the acceleration and the destruction of the family home happened in the 70s, where women decided that they could do whatever they want, and then when we legalized abortions, man, the floodgates opened up. And that's where America's population started to decline, is when we started killing 1 million babies every single year. And by the way, the majority of those are minorities. And I mean by a minority, I mean most of, not all, of abortions are by minorities. What is it, 20-some million black children weren't born in the last 40 years or last 50 years? It's an amazing number. It really is. And to say that those children weren't born, but those children's children weren't born, and those children's children weren't born. Because when those children stopped being born in the early 70s, 17 years later, crime exponentially dropped in New York City when Rudy Giuliani got the credit for stopping the crime, when in reality, the 18-year-olds that would usually be creating crime were never born. So the aborted children that were never born were never there to commit the crime, so we had an exponential crime decrease at about the time those children, or 18 years after Roe versus Wade. So when we talk about the math of those things, when we say that, we have to understand that I almost wasn't here. And I may have had other brothers and sisters that through my mother that I don't know, but she talked about clothes hanger abortions. She talked about how things were done. She talked about it openly in front of me. I heard about it from my aunt and my mother, the things that they would do. So my point is, guys, is that how many children were never born because we decided that the privacy between a doctor and a patient would allow for a quote-unquote medical procedure to happen, which is killing a baby. But then when the Supreme Court said, hey, we don't do that anymore, it's an individual state right issue, the state of Kansas, with a supermajority veto override, would never take that to the floor because they said that Kansas can't do that. Oh, it's too much political fodder. Oh, we can't just make abortions illegal in Kansas. Do you know that right down here, Dr. Tiller spent 40-some years killing babies right here at Oliver and Kellogg in the middle of this Wichita, Kansas? And then another lady, after Tiller was executed in his church foyer, yes, there was a man who killed Dr. Tiller in his church foyer after a church service, and then a woman promptly went in there and started becoming the doctor for abortions here in Wichita. And you could see the clinic right off the freeway. But we can't outlaw that in the state of Kansas, even though we have a veto majority super override in the House and Senate. But Ty Masterson, the Senate president, is running for governor and supposedly has President Trump's endorsement, which I'm trying to figure out how he got that. And I'm trying to figure out why he would have got that before the primary. You see what I'm saying? See, Ty Masterson somehow got a primary designation. That's not how that works. I know politics. You don't get primaries unless you're having a battle with somebody that's kind of a Fruit Loop. But somehow, Ty Masterson, our Senate president, who will not take the abortion to the Senate floor to get rid of abortion in the state of Kansas, he wants to be your next governor, just like we have Laura Kelly, who's a Democrat, who he supported the entire way and never sent one bill to her desk that she could ever veto because he was the gatekeeper for her. They're Twinkies. Kansas is completely gone, guys. It really is. There are people here that want this thing turned around, but the politics are so dirty and the money is so deep. And that's what I ran into when I ran for office, when I ran into all this stuff to become a drug dealer, a convicted paraphernalia. I have a paraphernalia conviction, okay? A paraphernalia. I'm still trying to figure that out. But I know the people who did it. I know the money who did it. I know the investment company who uses the money laundering machine. I know all these things. And Ty Masters is a part of that. But we still have abortions that are legal in the state of Kansas. Oh, but no, abortions are illegal countrywide because the Supreme Court. No, the Supreme Court said, states, you handle it. Here in the state of Kansas, we have a veto override in the House and the Senate, a supermajority, which means we can get rid of property tax. We could get rid of all kinds of taxes on elderly. We could get rid of taxes on utilities. We could get rid of taxes on food. All these, pharmaceuticals. It'd be great, right? Right, Ty Masterson, Mr. Trump endorsement guy? Come on, man. Liar. You're such a liar. Absolutely a liar. But what am I supposed to do, right? What do I know? But here's getting back to the original topic. What if men could actually act like men? And when men act like men, women get to be more like women. They get to be more effeminate. They don't have to go outside the home to earn a living. They don't have to have a career. They can stay home. Because when men get to do that, they become greater and more powerful, and they actually do and create more than they could ever do before, i.e. Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton is not an intelligent individual. Oh, no, he's super. No, he's clever. He's a confidence man, but he's not intelligent. But that's what Hillary was for. Hillary made him look amazing. Hillary got him over the edge. It was great. So when we figure out how we can actually have a conversation about this, that would be awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the Strait of Hormuz for a second, and then we're going to be out of here for the weekend. And like I said, I'll be off the next 2 days. I'll be in Tulsa at the Patriot event down there. Now, this deal with Trump and Iran, I don't like, again, I started the show this way. I don't like it when the reporter's like, well, what do you mean there's peace? There was still bombing in Lebanon. Well, that's Israel. That's not us. But what I keep pointing out is that why is it that it's like, well, we got a peace deal. Well, I don't see peace. Where's peace? Show me real peace. How long is peace going to last? I don't know what peace really is. What do you mean you have peace? What does the word peace mean? Oh, Trump's a liar. What are you going to do about peace? No, J.D. Vance, he's a liar. Oh, no, he's a liar. Oh, no, there's no such thing as peace. Guys, have you been through a major peace agreement? Have you done the work on that? Have you seen what it's like? Were you there during the Geneva Conventions? Were you there during World War I, World War II, Korea, South Korea? Were you there? Do you know how this stuff actually works? Have you been negotiating world peace deals with other countries all your life, and you're over here, Jimmy, you have no idea what you're talking about? It's just like a one pager, you know, couple, 3 items, sign at the bottom, we're done, file it away. Or are there very specific legal language that goes into it so that it is actually a treaty? See, that's where we want to talk about. We want a treaty, meaning that we're friends. We can be friends with Iran. We're not mad at Iran. We want to be friends with Iran. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you guys like it. Maybe you liked the arguing. Maybe I got the wrong group of people here. That everybody just likes to argue. Well, I like to argue. It's a big deal. It's so great. There's a lot of things about what is going on in the Middle East that I wish... I guess it's this. Let me do this. I have matured in a lot of ways throughout my life. And there were things that I used to say as a kid that I would be very like embarrassed or blushing about, and I wouldn't say it now as an adult, because I realized I was like, okay, I didn't see the whole picture. I didn't get it. I didn't get the whole thing. Okay? And that's maturity, that's experience, that's the language, that's the la 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 la's of things, right? I just lost where I was going. I really did. A whole big old brain fart. If we do not start understanding which of us are the dummies and which of us are the smart ones, we're going to continue to fail in a downward way. We should celebrate those that are the intelligent. We should celebrate those that are the leaders. We should celebrate those that see things differently, and not because it's progressive, but because they're asking an additional question. And I'm okay with additional questions. I'm okay with additional answers, but I don't like it when we just like, oh, well, we got to be progressive. We got to change it. We got to do this. Like, we don't need to do that. But can we slow this whole thing down to where we become people that aren't going to argue or tear each other apart, and replace the toxic masculinity that we have with femininity? The feminist is the toxic. Femininity creates the toxic masculine, period. So if we can back off of that and get over here back to the original cycles, the original setup of how we've been doing this for hundreds of billions of years, or whatever it is, or 10 minutes we've been on Earth, or however long. I'm not fighting that with you right now. But we know that this system works. We know that that's how it works. But why can't we go back to it? Why? Because it's not progressive. It's too much of the same. How much more of life would be a lot more fun if we put things back to traditional roles, and then we'd have so much more time to go do cool stuff. Right? I would have so much more time to go do cool things if all the traditional roles were filled. I wouldn't have to be chasing things down. I wouldn't have to be worried about defining what masculinity is or defending myself of what I said or how I said it. And again, what do I know, right? All right, guys, that's going to be about it for me. Remember the 10% we do for our neighbor, community, city, county, state, the federal government. The more you do for them, the less they have to do for you. Learn how to be selfless and not so damn selfish, and we'll be a far, far better place. Remember, hold the line, hold fast, do not give up, do not give in. We'll win. I promise I can't keep, guys. You've always been that answer out there. Remember that Constitution, well, that limits the government, but never limits you. You have the authority, so maintain that authority in the best way you know how. Quit giving in to people and giving in to things that have nothing to do with you and do not have power over you. All right, guys, that's going to be about it for me. It's good seeing you. For those of you who be at the Clay Clark event this weekend, I'll look forward to seeing you guys there. And I will be coming back either late Saturday night or first thing Sunday morning. So I'll be back in Wichita this weekend. And looks like I'll be trying to schedule a trip to go see my dad as we build our relationship out and kind of good stuff like that. So I do appreciate the fact that he has stepped up and it wasn't a big deal. So it's been awesome. Why can't we all be like that? Why can't we just be cool with each other? It's given me a little bit of hope about what a man could be and how a man should be. The idea that if my father, who hasn't known me for 55 years, suddenly just says, hey, cool, you're my son, let's do this thing. What's wrong with that? Why does it have to be an argument? Why does it have to be a battle? Why has it always got to be a thing? Because ego and selfish in nature is what's taken over our country. It's taken over the heart of man. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm Jim Price, the Jim Price Show Daily Update. You guys will be good to each other out there, and I will see you guys on Monday. Bye-bye.